Hey pilots, Plasma 1945 taxiing out on Growling Sidewinder here in a venerable Mig-29S. Going to go for another flight here and get a couple of very close merges. Now this is post update 2.9. I am running Reverb G2 and pixel density of 1.2 with MSA of 2. I am not using DLSS because in the non-NATO aircraft, in FC3 planes, you get weird blur happening in the HUD. So maybe there'll be an update for this after this is released. Hopefully. Anyhow, so takeoff, trim back, and a little bit of flaps, and we are airborne. Let's go look for some targets to splash on the blue side. So important public service announcement for those guys who fly FC3 planes and Red 4 planes. The F-16 and the F-18 have been made more lethal after upgrade 2.9. The radars can see you farther away and lock you even if you're beaming much easier. If you are flying in formation, it will actually scramble them because they will not be able to see individual targets, just like in Top Gun. So keep that in mind. But overall, their radars have gotten stronger, but their missiles maybe have gotten a little bit dumber after update 2.9. So there's a whole bunch of targets out to the west, but there's more of them coming in from the north. So I'm going to roll out north and descend for targets. Now the reason I'm descending is because I'm getting a report of a hostile at Angels 12 metric. That's 12,000 meters. That's about 40,000 feet. And if somebody's flying that high, it's likely an F-15, which means that he can bomb me with high-speed missiles from up high. That is not something you want to do. What you want to do in that situation is get low and put a mountain between you and that target. In this case, the F-15 has been launched on by a friendly somewhere at the back, and now he's crossing my nose and pulling away. So now I'm in pursuit position, trying to chase him down through the hills here. He was supposed to be high. I'm scanning high, but he is no longer up there. I'm trying to do vertical scan, not picking him up. And then as I come around here, I'm going to tag him. There he is. Just popped up for a second. There's a lock, and he's right on my nose turning in. 27 ET. Launch. Let's ride with the missile. Here we go, missile view. Another bug from DCS 2.9 is the missile's kind of jerking back and forth. But successful splash on Mr. Bread, one of the guys that always flies on the Blue Force. Sorry about that, Bread. But as you can hear, I am being steady locked by an enemy aircraft. I'm trying to get close to the mountain to try to break lock, but the lock is coming from my nose, and there's actually two AIM-120s that are being launched on me right now. So I'm just going gate, trying to put the missile on the side of my canopy so that I can notch it. As you can see, the missile's coming in from my left side. I can't see the missile, it's somewhere out there. But based on RWR, it's coming in from my left side. And if you guys hang tight, at the end of the video, I'll put up a Tacview of the launches that were done on me. So that's near the end. And you can see the defenses here. The missiles actually got pretty close. I was surprised. So sharp turn into this valley. I'm trying to use the valley for cover. I saw something on my side there, but I'm going to come around and look for this hostile again. Over the top. Scan is working. There's a target locked. Trying to spot him. I don't see where he is. And he's coming in on my right side. Box 2 up close. Boom, splash. Let's jump into missile view and see what happened there. So he's coming in towards me, looking for where I went. Into that same valley. I Fox 2, and that Eagle doesn't know what hit him. Splash 2. Alright, take a little breather here. And just patrol the gap between the main mountains and the Beslan Valley. One of the things about flying the Mig-29, it is very much zen. There is no data link to get distracted by. All you hear is RWR. And if you can find a way that no one can pick you up and your RWR is clean, it's quite peaceful actually. you just enjoy kind of sneaking around and waiting for targets. But all of your attention is focused on visual spotting of enemy aircraft. And also, of course, your RWR and radar, but flying silent, we've just got EO going. So that's actually exactly what I'm doing here. So I went into this valley and then made a 180 because I predicted there would be guys coming out of Bazlan or Nalchik. So turned back in, flying north again, looking for enemy aircraft. And this is where visual spotting is very important. Boom, right there. Tomcat passes right underneath me. I see him, and right away I crank hard. He also spots me and goes into a vertical. This guy's call sign was MAILMAN, and I think he was just maybe a new guy or just trying to get gun kills, but he actually had no missiles. I come around hard, get a lock, and Fox 3. Easy splash, MAILMAN goes down. Let's take a look at his perspective, how he saw this play out. So he's just kind of cruising in. Maybe he's a new guy, just first time flying. Sorry about that, MAILMAN. I pass over top of him, spot him, do a hard crank to the left, full gate reverse. He's doing the same thing. Now right here, you'll see the launch from me. He's popping flares, but he's got to cut his afterburner. It wouldn't have made a difference though because that was a Fox 3. Beautiful splash. He's out of there. I pop a couple of flares for him in the sign of respect. And that is a splash 3, guys. Now, what I did know is there's an F-16 that was here. But as I was going west, he crossed the place where I just flew through, just past MAILMAN, but he didn't see me. I'm extending out at this point, and you know, then comes the big question. Do you continue flying and fire off your last 3 missiles because you still have at least one ET, at least one R-73 and one R-77 Fox 3. But got a couple of kills. Fuel state's getting low to about just under 2,000, which gives me a comfortable way to fly back. But do you stay out there and just keep flying, or do you RTB? And this is where, you know, you have to kind of decide. Do you want to go get a landing, or do you want to be greedy and potentially get splashed? So on the F10 map, I have a whole bunch of friendlies coming in to cover me, and I figured, you know what, let them hunt. I'm going to peel out and go back in for a landing. I don't get to land quite enough in the Mig-29. But Splash 3, not too bad. So roll out here to the right and go through the mountains back south towards Tbilisi and look for that landing. And I activated all my flares auto dispense, which means that I've got no flares and chaff. Alright, so we're pulling into Tbilisi. We're going to do a landing here, and I'll talk to you guys through the landing procedure here that I'm following. Really trying to master the landings in the Mig-29, just in case I have to be on the server where I am respected and expected to complete a mission in the Mig-29, because you have to land to be successful in most of these missions, not just growling Sidewinder. Alright, coming up on Tbilisi, it's over on my left side. I'm going to pass to the south of the runway and then come in for a landing. So at this point here, I'm already cutting my throttle back, going down to idle. Mig-29 is very fast even at idle. It'll still accelerate quite significantly. Using an opportunity to visually inspect the runway. There is a shake happening, and that is because I believe my flaps are already down. They've added this very distinct vibration to the aircraft when you've got your flaps extended. Peel off slightly right, and then I'm going to do a left turn in to go final. Keep something in mind in the Mig-29. If you are under 400, 500 kilometers and you're making that turn, make sure that you give it a little gas. It really likes to lose speed on the turns. So over the top, not quite enough to the right initially there, so I'll have to straighten this out. My EO is picking up all those aircraft on the ground. My ECM is off. That's another really important thing, guys. If you are flying on Growling Sidewinder, turn off your ECM if you're RTBing, so that other flankers will see you as the friendly two-line designation, not as an unknown jammer, because they might fire into you. Gear down, and going in for final here. Thrust is cut, flaps are out. And remember, brakes on the 29 do not work if your gear is down. Now keeping the nose up as much as I can, pulling back on the stick to do a little bit of air braking. That F-16's happy I didn't crash into him. And then at this point start to apply brakes, nose down, and extend the parachute. And there we go, guys. Successful landing in a Mig-29, and we'll go to Tacview next. So flew out here and picked up this hostile here coming in at Angels 12 metric. That's a very high flyer at 80 kilometers. Turned off because what my goal was to cut the ability of him to detect and track me here. So Brett up here, he fires a missile possibly at me. I'm not sure where that missile's going. But I ducked right behind this mountain. As you can see, the dashed line here, that means his radar can see me, and the goal is to make sure that his radar cannot see me whatsoever. So using terrain for cover, using an approximate position of where he's at. He's descended some, but again, I'm using that terrain for cover. Nose on, pick up his RWR, duck down behind the mountain. Just staying low. That's one of the key things. So I'm going to stay on Brad. Right here, as I come around, I paint him temporarily, and he starts descending. He's out cold. I'm pressing him. There's a big mountain top here. Over the mountain, I'm thinking he's still up high, but he's actually descended quite a bit because that was the last call. He's right on the deck below me. My nose is pointing way up. Here, I'll turn on the vectors. As you can see, I'm scanning up high, but he's not there. As I come around, vertical scan is going to lock him up as I come through this roll, and there's a lock on him with vertical scan at 17 kilometers. That's about 10 miles. And so the action here is to shoot as quick as possible as soon as I have a good position. 10 miles is perfect, and as you can see, I hold the shot until he's pointing straight at me. So right here I've got good closure, and as soon as he's pointing at me, I fire the missile. Of course, this is an ET, which is a long-range Fox 2, and Brett has no idea the missile's coming. And he probably didn't even see it smoke. As you can see, his belly was pointing towards me the whole time, so he didn't pop any flares. And there you go, there's the first splash. And this is where it gets saucy, so let's go back into north-south aspect here. So as I'm flying, Ghost spots me and starts shooting lots of missiles at me. So there's a first missile already on its way. Let's measure that distance from him to me. So that first shot is at about 29 kilometers. That's about 18 miles. I'm in this little valley, and he sends a second missile. Let's look at it from the side. So here's his missiles coming in. That missile is fairly dangerous. It's getting close. I put it into a, trying to put it into a 90-degree beam using terrain for clutter. Popping lots of chaff. I think that was all the chaff I had here because my RWR was going off. It wasn't looking very good. This other missile is still tracking me. There's a third one coming as well. So that's 3 missiles on me. I had no idea that they were this close. Right here, as they're tracking me, I'm at Mach 1. These guys have gotten slower. This third one's still dangerous, but because I made that turn, it's dragging out their energy. So this one is probably not a problem. This one's still pretty quick. And right here, I do a reverse snap really hard in the MiG-29. And this missile still wants me. The other two are trashed. They're still seeing me, but there's no chance they're going to catch me. This last one, really close. Look at that. Within 800 meters just before it runs out of energy. So lucky maneuver there. So let's take a look at his missiles. So he sees me, starts firing head on. And that last missile, the most dangerous one, came at 15 kilometers. That's about 8 miles. He's shooting top down. I'm almost on the ground. He's a little bit higher up. And going sideways here, hoping for a notch. Although I never got a notch here. I dare not do any more maneuvering. So far I'm alive. And this missile's just coming closer, closer, closer. Then a reverse. And pulling away here. And as a bonus, Ghost fired another missile at me while I was in the turn. This one's at 5 miles. I put the terrain between me and him, and he fired an AIM-9, so he really wanted to shoot me. And then as I come over the top here, that missile is garbage. Ghost is down low. So let's watch this. I've got him locked up. And here I'm just going to fire an R-73. I know I need that missile to maneuver, so it just goes off bore. I'm watching the missile, if you guys go back to the cockpit, making sure it's not going to hit the mountain, because he did maneuver into that little valley, and there's a splash. So I got kind of lucky there, dragged the missiles out, didn't get killed. So more aircraft taking off. I'm just following the valley, find this nice little nook here, into the nook, because I was getting pinged by radars from somebody. There's quite a few aircraft. And then I go into the valley here, hiding away in this nook. And as I come through, I'm going to do a 180 and come out in the opposite direction. And the reason I did that is because these valleys are somewhat shielding me. So if we zoom out, and you really do need to know the area you're operating in. As you can see, I'm kind of hiding there, and makes it a little harder for folks to spot me. So turn around, come back out, and this is where I just get purely lucky. I'm flying with EO, electro-optical, looking for heat signatures, and here comes MAILMAN, and he literally passes just in front of me. Just a vertical stack of about 350 feet. So let's watch this fight here. So what's going to happen is both he and I react instantly. He goes up over the top. If he had a missile right here, he could fire an AIM-9. He just needs to get his nose on me. He loses a bit of speed. So when we started this fight, let's get our labels up here so you guys can see our speeds. So I'm 0.87, he's 0.94, so he's a little bit faster than me. He goes for 10 degree. Let's get these. Let's get the vectors in as well. So he goes sharply up. Loses quite a bit of speed. He's down to 0.6, 0.5, 0.4. He's got his afterburner going, whereas I do a flatter turn along the bottom, because I don't want to expose myself to the sky, right? That's the other thing. So as you come through these kinds of fights, where is it here? Sorry about that. The last thing you want to do is be visible against the sky for your enemy, because it helps you spot them. So if we get rid of labels, you can see that from my perspective, he's going up and I can see him against the sky from my cockpit. Whereas from his cockpit, I'm against the ground. Might give me an extra half a second or a second to get him while he doesn't see me. And that's actually what happens here. He goes up, he reverses. So his belly's pointing up. He's looking for me. And right there, I get the radar beam on him and a missile. So I pick him up in electro-optical right here. He's kind of floundering around looking for me, but lock and launch. He pops flares, but this is an R-77, so it's a Fox 3, and there's our splash. So that's the other important thing, is he went vertical. You can do that if you've got the energy. He was not quite fast enough. He should have built up more speed when going up, or maybe not gone up as steep. So Mailman, if you watch this, yeah, don't go up as steep. I make a turn here. By the time I come around, I did have to cash in quite a bit of energy. I did go after burner here to make this turn. Pretty sharp. Let's put an object here and see how big that turn was. Yeah, that turn was about a mile from end to end. So cranked pretty hard, spotted him, and fired that Fox 3 at a fairly minimal range. But that's one of the things about the R-77s, is that they can turn and maneuver quite well. So the missile here is pulling 12 Gs to start with, and hits him right there. All right, so that was the last splash, and then the moment of luck here. There's another F-16 coming in. Looks like AWACS perhaps saw me just for a second. He probably saw the explosion, so he's looking out where's plasma, what's going on here. Flying low, and I pretty much pass right across his nose. Looks like he doesn't see me. He's looking for me. And he goes directly south, whereas I just continue on my way. This guy gets tangled up. I make my decision not to keep fighting and to let all these other Red Force aircraft that just arrived take over. Right? Because I actually do want to get a landing in for you guys once in a while. And just fire off my missiles. Flying nice and low. I've got plenty of fuel. And here's the landing. Let's get that up and running here. So pass next to the runway. We're going to mark that SA-19 as center of runway. So at about 4 kilometers. I should have gone further out here, but turning back in. Nice big loop. And coming in for final. And you can watch my -1, -2 on the glide slope, 0, and there's touchdown. As you can see, my lift vector is a little low, and I'm kind of just pulling it up to air brake here. Just air brake, air brake, air brake, parachute, and successful landing. Alright guys, Plasma 1945. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I'm out of here. Fly safe.